Our thoughts and feelings are our own and are not representative of Electronic Arts as a whole or anyone else.
Once again, it's time for the Team Lift podcast with your hosts, Brandon Bowie and Roderick McDaniel. Let's go ahead and get right into the show. Test. No, man. I'm not.
Do that beat again.
Man, I'm not doing that.
We're going to make a new intro.
Yeah, I'm working on my beatbox skills for the 2017 Beatbox Championships.
Do it.
Nah, bro. I got to keep my skills. I don't want people to know what I'm working on. I'm working on my skills, though. I am working. I'm trying to get my skills up. Man, I just had one of the greatest conversations with superfan Joe Nathan. Man, we've been talking DC movies, Marvel movies on our way here. So he was giving me all our load. Because you know he's our DC guy.
Yeah.
He's the Team Lift resident DC guy. So he was giving me a lot of information on what he's heard about what's going on, what's rumors, what's, what he's hearing out there in the streets. About talk, about the Black Adam movie.
Mm-hmm.
So we were just kind of discussing what's gossip and what's real and what's being confirmed. So it was a cool talk, real cool talk. I was very, very impressed with what he was trying to bring to it, man. We're going to have to get him on here one day. You know that, right?
Yeah.
We really need to get that guy on here because, man, I thought we spent a lot of time working on the show. The amount of time that guy spends up on comic book news to not have a podcast, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. Man, I was going to talk to you about something. I know you've been watching that American Gods, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you're all about that show right now, right?
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, it's like they managed to actually put the book on screen, which others have tried and then failed at miserably in later seasons.
Yeah, I was reading a thing, I guess, episode 3.
Yeah.
Is going live.
Yeah, there's a fairly long and uncomfortable sex scene between a
two
djinn.
men.
Yeah. Oh, actually, no. One of them is a god.
But yeah.
He's a djinn.
He was a djinn with fiery eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read the article today.
You should watch the show.
I heard there's a huge penis in that scene.
It's brief.
Yeah, I heard there's a lot of penis on this show.
There's a lot of penis on the show.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard there's a lot of penis on the show. I was like, man, this is maybe something I should watch.
And what's really funny is like there's not that much penis in the book.
So there's way more penis on the show?
Yeah. I guess if you think about it, like whatever the book is talking about in the book is what you're imagining in your imagination. You don't really think about penis while you're reading a book.
You don't.
But if you're translating a book into a visual medium, and the whole scene is about a djinn fucking a guy, yeah, sure, you're gonna see some penis.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be the same thing if like.
The joke I did make during the episode was, now I know how they're gonna fill out this show. They're just gonna make long, uncomfortable sex scenes. People are gonna have to sit through.
It wasn't uncomfortable for everybody. Yeah, I mean, some people were fans.
Some people are happy.
Yeah, no, I was.
It wasn't that the scene made me uncomfortable. It was just like, it was one of those things where the whole time I'm sitting there, I'm going, and cut. Why is this scene as long as his dick?
Yeah, like, really? Man, I heard it takes a while. In fact, the way they told it to me was, TV history was made where two men made love.
Yeah.
I said, made love. They said it was slow, it was sensual, it was long as fuck. And I went,
it was a good 3.5, almost 5 minutes maybe. I might be exaggerating. I'd have to go and watch the show.
Oh, no, they
again,
sent me cut scenes from it, bro. This is how they did me. Here's a picture of him looking up at the guy as he's blowing him. And I'm like, really, fam? Y'all thought I needed play-by-play details of this? They did. They sent me the whole thing. Here's an article about him. And in that article, here's another picture of him looking up at the djinn as he blows it. I was like, okay. Here they are doing it sideways.
I mean, like, it's not any different, though. Like, if you roll it back, like, an episode, they did a second Bilquist montage where she just fucks everybody. Women, men, doesn't matter.
And she's devouring on whatever vagina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing is, like, in the book, for me, that one was like her entire lower half of her body just became a big, like, crocodile mouth and was just literally eating people. And then they were just like, whoop. But that just may have been my imagination, and that wasn't actually what was going on in the book. But,
yeah, and you were like, in your mind, you were like, she's a crocodile on bottom. Her legs turned into a crocodile.
Because I think that might even be what was mentioned. I don't know. I'd have to. It's been a good year since I reread it, and the last time I reread it, it was the extended version where he added in a bunch of stuff that he had cut because the editors at the time that he was writing the original book said that it was too long, or that this sequence needed to be cut, or that needed to be cut, like to tighten it up. And he just kind of went back and put all those things back in. So
Okay. Yeah, man, I've heard a lot of good things about it. I haven't watched. As you know, I pretty much, when I'm watching TV, it's anime, a few TV shows, and most of that time, if I'm in front of a TV, I'm trying to knock out a game this year. Yeah. So, you know, it's not been a lot. And it's hard to try to keep up with all the anime I'm trying to watch and play games. So trying to add a new show into the mix has been crazy. And I have Stars. That's what's so weird. I need to see if it's on Stars on Demand.
I don't know.
I need to look. If it is, I'll try to sit down and watch it.
I think it probably is. I think we have Stars in there. I'd have to go look it up, but yeah.
I have to go look and see. I got to sit down and watch this show because they sent me this, and I was like, you know, the only person that's been talking to me about this show is Brandon, really. A couple other friends maybe have mentioned it. Oh my God, it's one of the greatest shows ever. And I was like, it's only on the second episode? You're already calling it one of the greatest shows ever? What the hell is going on this show that I'm missing out? And I think it was just that people were like, it's such a faithful adaptation.
I mean, the only change that I've been able to detect that's like a major change is just the way a character gets into a scene. There's like a scene in the first episode where Shadow gets into a limo with Mr. Information, who's the god of information. He's basically the god of the internet. And in the books, he just gets into a literal limo. And in this, like, he's walking along the highway and like leaving his wife's funeral, and like a rocket basically comes down from the sky and hits the ground and then opens up. And there's like a VR goggles come up out of it, and he picks them up and puts them on, and then he's inside of a virtual limo with Mr. Information. And then the rest of the scene plays out exactly like it does in the book.
Wow.
Like down to like him smoking fucking synthetic toad skins. And in that, in the scene in the book, he's actually like has synthetic toad skins that he's got wrapped around marijuana, and he's smoking that. And in the they updated it to kind of today's standards, so he's smoking the synthetic toad skin using a vape, and the toad is actually in the vape liquid. So
cool. Okay. I can live with that.
It's super faithful though.
Nice. I can live with that.
And Ian McShane as fucking Odin. I mean, come on. Ian McShane in anything. I watched Ian McShane in a fucking recreation of a Bible story just because it was Ian McShane.
That's saying a lot.
Yeah.
That's saying a lot for you.
Yeah.
Because anybody that listens to the show knows.
Yeah.
You're not watching a lot of Bible stories. But that's awesome, man. But I'm just kind of blown away. I'm going to have to sit down and put this show in there. It's one of those things like, man, one day I will sit down and try to do this. But, man, that's tough. You're asking a lot of my schedule for me to try to sneak that in there. What are you pulling up? Man. Every time I see him in something, I just get so happy, man.
So the show was from 2009. It's called Kings.
Mm-hmm.
They based on the story of King David.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he was on there.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It's like an alternate reality, and Ian McShane, I think, is playing King Silias Benjamin.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Man, that's cool. All right, cool. I'm gonna have to jump on it now. Man, we're gonna do some stories. I got a couple of stories I'm going to hit you with this week, okay? Mm-hmm. We're going back to the old school format when this show first started and we were hungry before we, got famous and got busy. Okay? we're doing a regular show. So here's how it goes. Story I want to hit you up with. Here's how much NVIDIA will make off of the Nintendo Switch. Now, this was no surprise to us, especially because of my relation to you. You had told me the Switch was nothing but NVIDIA hardware. You've been saying this before it even came out.
It's an NVIDIA Shield with a different package. And they tightened up the process a little bit. I think they dropped it from like 16 nanometer to like 14 nanometer or something, but it's essentially the same hardware.
Yeah, so I remember you were telling me that. And so then going out, we did some looking, the story hits, and the move came from Nintendo. Like, I guess here's what it is. What they're saying is when they were doing,
I want to start with the ups and downs.
Damn it.
Analysis. When they're doing the analysis of how much money these things are going to make, RBC Capital Markets analyst Mitch Steves or Mitch Steves, I don't know how he pronounces his last name. He predicts that they're going to see about $300 million to $400 million boost on their top line in fiscal year 2018 just from the sales of Switch. That's not even their graphic cards. This is $300 to $400 million coming in from Nintendo to you.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like that's pocket change to NVIDIA. Right now, their actual big market is artificial intelligence. Like their top-end GPUs are being used by pretty much every single major auto manufacturer who's trying to do deep learning for cars, for automatic driving cars. Right. And that's their market. Like they make $40,000 to $100,000 off of each card they sell in that market. And this is just like 400 million from selling little cheap mobile GPUs to fucking Nintendo to sell in Switches.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I decided to dig deeper. They're looking to make $1.91 billion in revenue. Bro.
NVIDIA's fucking killing it, man.
They are not hurting.
They've been killing it for a long time.
But that's what happens when you pretty much become a monopoly in the market and the other card's not even close to you.
Well, this is the thing is like AMD just released Ryzen.
Yes.
So they've got 4, 6, and 8 core processors. They just announced that they're going to be releasing consumer level 16 core 32 thread processors.
I saw that story.
And then they've also announced that they have a server chip that, I mean, we knew about this like 2 years ago, but this is actual confirmation. They have a 64 core 128 thread processor for servers. So they're about to dump into the server market. And then they announced, so NVIDIA has their workstation grade cards, which is the Titan, the Titan X, the Titan XP, Titan X Pascal, like those, the Titan line, those are meant for like some deep learning, but they're also meant for like high-end 3D rendering. And
these are workstations. These are for jobs. This is not for Joe Blow, so he can run Fallout.
Yeah. So they just announced their Vega-based workstation graphics cards. They have 2 different ones. They have an air-cooled one, and they have a water-cooled one. And so they've got that coming. That Threadripper, the 16 core was 32 thread processor. That one is just a desktop CPU. It's meant for workstations. It's technically not meant for gamers, but I would love to build a system with that.
There's a chance that some goob's gonna do it. You and I know it. There's gonna be some enthusiast that says I'm building it.
If you're a streamer and you stream on Twitch and you play PC games, what you could do with that chip would be to take the chip and through software in Windows, you set up your encoder that actually encodes what you're doing, and you set up your game, and you tell the encoder, here, you have these 4 physical cores with 8 threads to do your encoding with, and over on this side, here's my game, and I'm just going to give it the rest of the CPU as a blanket. And you split that workload off like that, and so that they don't interfere with each other. And that's what you could do with that processor. That would be really awesome. And then on top of that, you can make your stream look better because you've got that much dedicated hardware towards it. You can say, okay, now I'm going to run all of my games in ultra settings with, a new Vega-based GPU from AMD, or with a Titan, or with a 1080 Ti, or with a pair of 1080 Ti's, and play in ultra so that when you're playing it, it looks great. And then once it's been compressed and sent out to the internet, the viewers are going to see that same experience on their side of things. That's what you can do with that processor. That's why that processor exists. That's even why the 8-core 16-thread processors exist from Ryzen. But yeah, AMD is fucking like really coming after Intel in a big way. And Intel's gotten scared. And they've actually pushed up the release date of their new 12-core 24-thread processor.
I'd heard that.
Going to be the competitor for Threadripper, the 16-core 24-thread processor. So,
I'm okay now. Is it true? Because I knew you would tell me this. You know me. I'm a noob when it comes to PC gaming. Okay, I'm coming back to it. It's been years, so to me, I'm new to it still. I'm still learning stuff, but I've I've been seeing some stuff online that some people have already spec'd this thing out, and they're like, it's no punk. It's that people are preferring. Is it just that people are liking it because it's new, or are people really preferring Ryzen right now? They're like, no, this is the way to go.
So the issue with Ryzen is for if you're running a game in 1080p,
Right.
Ryzen has, so your Intel processors, it's all one processor on one chip together, and all the interconnect is done on the chip.
Right.
With a CPU from AMD, you have 4-core packs, and each 4-core pack is connected to all the other 4-core packs using what they call Infinity Fabric, which is basically just a transfer protocol, kind of like TCP/IP.
Right.
And it sends data back and forth between the processors. So your 1800X 8-core 16-thread processor has two 4-core packs, and when those two 4-core packs talk to each other, they talk to each other over Infinity Fabric, which talks across your memory bus. So it goes through the memory on the PC to send data back and forth. The problem is that the processor is listed as having 16 megs of onboard L3 cache, which is where all of your data sits on its way to the processor. But realistically, it actually has 8 megs. It's got 8 on one 4-pack and 8 on the other 4-pack. And so if a program sends data to the wrong set of cores that's not processing that data, and the other core needs it, it has to request it through the bus. One processor has to go, hey, other processor, you have this data, I need it. And then that processor goes, yeah, I do, and sends it over. That interconnect is making things take 3 to 4 times longer to travel back and forth between CPUs than it does on an Intel chip of the same core count. And so at 1080p, where things have to happen really fast, because at 1080p, your computer can just go balls out. It can do almost like 300 frames a second if you've got the right hardware. Like I can get 160 to 180 frames a second in Overwatch on my system right now. And if I switched over to Ryzen, that would probably dip by maybe 5 or 10 or 20 frames a second at best, because the interconnect of how long it takes that data to go from one processor pack to the other processor pack introduces latency.
Okay.
If you turn your resolution in the game up, essentially make it more difficult for the system, for the GPU to be able to process the scene, so you get less frames per second overall, the bottleneck that's created by that data having to flow back and forth between the processors goes away.
Okay.
Now, having said all of that shit, if you actually code your game to know what data needs to be where and on what processor properly, if you optimize for Ryzen, like they did with Ashes of the Singularity, you get a 31% performance boost in that game just because they've optimized that game for that processor. So realistically, if everybody just started coding their shit properly, there would be virtually no difference between an AMD CPU and an Intel CPU, except for like Intel has a minor lead in instructions per clock, which is how many instructions you can get done on a single core by itself on a processor in a second.
Okay.
So all of that comes back around to, are people preferring Ryzen? People are preferring Ryzen because it's cheaper. People aren't preferring Ryzen because it technically performs better. Although with minor architectural changes on AMD's side, which it looks like they're doing, they have a Ryzen Plus that's coming up. That's going to be like the second generation of Ryzen processors.
Right.
Hopefully that's going to fix the problem of the interconnect between the two core packs, and then all of that's going to go away.
So they're already negating what's the issue right now.
Yeah, they're already working on a solution to the problem.
Okay.
From an engineering standpoint.
Let me ask you this. So when we're talking cheaper, how much right now?
Right now, a Ryzen 1800X, which is an 8-core 16-thread processor, on AMD side is $499 or $450 if you get it with a deal. And that same processor on the Intel side of things will cost you $1,200. And its bigger brother, the 10-core 20-thread processor, will cost you $1,700. And we don't even know how much the 12-core 24-thread processor is going to cost.
Wait a minute. Did you tell me I could get a Ryzen for $450? And what was it
priced
again?
it out today. It's 456 and change.
And that gives me how many cores, how many processors?
Eight physical cores and 16 threads, meaning each one of those
Holy
processors
crap.
actually acts as 2 processors.
Right. So virtual processors.
Yeah, virtual processors.
8 core, 16 thread.
For 450. A 6-core, 12-thread processor from Intel will cost you $650.
I just thought about something. Let's say you started your own video game company right now, and you were just going to do a visual novel. Do you realize the fucking gaming you could get using that? I mean, that's a cut in the cost of the operating for your company right there, because you're going to get the same work with that processor.
Yeah.
To render your game.
Well, they're also
For cheap.
They also announced that they're going to be doing a line of Ryzen mobile GPUs. I don't know if they're going to be APUs, like where they have a Ryzen processor coupled with an AMD graphics card all on the same chip, like they do in a lot of the APUs that they do right now, or if it's going to be actually standalone processor and then a standalone graphics card with its own pool of memory, which is much, much better.
Wow.
But that's coming to, like, it was really weird. They did all these product announcements at what's supposed to be a fucking financial announcement.
They're coming out swinging.
Yeah, they're just fucking laying it down hard right now.
Man. Okay, so let me ask you this. You got the money. I give you $2,000. Which one you going with?
I'm going with AMD.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going with AMD on the processor side. I'm going with NVIDIA on the graphics card side of things. And the reason is, like, if I can get 8 cores and 16 threads and I can do it at $450, I have that much more money to spend on everything else. And the boards are cheap too. The boards are like $150.
Wow.
Like the most expensive board, which is actually one of the worst boards that you can get from a design standpoint, is $299.
Which board is that?
It's the MSI. It's like MSI's like deluxe Ryzen motherboard. I think it's what's it called? It's not B350. It's the other one. They essentially have 2 different styles of motherboard. They have a motherboard that allows you to do multi GPU, and then they have a motherboard that allows you to not do multi GPU. That's the difference between the two. So they're multi GPU. It's kind of weird the way that they've got it set up.
Yeah,
like,
you saw my face when you said that. I was like, why would you make a card that does that? Okay, I don't get it, but okay.
So AMD didn't design the boards.
Okay.
The add-in board partners like Asus and MSI and the consortium of all the motherboard manufacturers, they're the ones who actually put the boards together for AMD. It's not like on the Intel side where Intel provides a reference platform and the processor and all that shit, and then they give the reference platform to everybody and then they modify it the way they want it. The actual motherboard manufacturers made this whole scheme up themselves with AMD's guidance. And so there are motherboards where you can do dual GPU, and then there are motherboards where you can't. And then all the B350 and I gotta look it up in a minute because I'm tired of not remembering what it is. I think it's the 399 motherboards. I think it's the A399 or something like that.
Right.
I'm probably completely wrong, but
we'll do a show about it. We can get that fact. We will actually do another show because I want to do a show where you and I have been talking about this, and I guess the listeners are going to hear today. We've been wanting to do a show about, hey, so you're thinking about building a new PC, and we're going to just go through a 1-hour show where we actually build some PC specs and spec out prices.
So essentially, all Ryzen motherboards are what allow you to overclock, and Ryzen motherboards decide whether or not you can do SLI or not, which is 2 video cards together. Yeah. So the top 2 tier. One does dual graphics cards, and it does overclocking. The other one does single slot and overclocking. And then the third tier, which is the lowest tier and the cheapest, you can't overclock and you can only do single slot.
Then you know why I have issues with SLI.
Everybody has issues with SLI.
But you know why my issues are personal with SLI. Because
them Battlefield calls is what it is.
But look, be honest. They made me tap out on SLI. I was not the idea of it was cool until you get a bunch of people calling like, my computer can't do what I built it to do. Yeah, because that game wasn't designed what you built it to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, while you may want to have 2 graphic cards, I'm sorry, this game's not going to work doing that. And that So I'm not a fan personally of it. But then again, I'm playing Sims 4. Do I really need 2 graphic cards for Sims 4? No.
Realistically, most people don't need 2 graphics cards. If you want to be an enthusiast and you want to have 2 graphics cards, that's great, but don't expect them to work all the time. Most of the problem with it is that game companies don't build their products for SLI. NVIDIA and AMD, for the most part, will come in and provide a profile to allow the game to run on multiple processors, but it's not something that the game company is providing. It's something that the graphics card company is providing. And if they don't do it right, everything just gets fucked. And most companies don't actually officially support SLI.
Nah.
Like, Battlefield doesn't officially support SLI. Can you get SLI to work in most cases? Sure. If you've got the correct NVIDIA profile and everything else, all the other stars align, it'll probably work just fine. But they're not going to guarantee that it's going to work.
Yeah,
that's the big
no
issue
game company, and I don't care whether it's Activision, Ubisoft, Electronic Arts, no game company I have seen has ever come out and say, yeah, we support this. Mm-hmm. So, and then they don't put it on the box, and so people go out there thinking, well, it should support it. No, game manufacturers don't go in and build in a game and go, what is the greatest rig we could run this game on? That's not how they do game building.
Yeah. It's part of the problem is that it's really difficult to plan for. Like, you're already planning for 50 different things, and then adding SLI on that just adds another 50. And it's like, okay, well, we could make this game run really great on SLI, or we could just focus on making it run really great on a single card, and then SLI, if it works, it works. And we can then spend all that development money that we could have spent on making it run great on SLI to make everything else in the game great.
Yeah, and that's 99% of most game development.
Yeah.
All right, so cool, man. We really went deep on that one, man. Let's keep it moving. I got a couple of other issues. Deadpool TV series coming from Donald Glover. Have you heard about this?
Yes, I have.
How did you feel about it when you heard it?
I was happy, but Jesus fucking Christ, he's working hard as shit right now. Like, he's doing Atlanta. He's writing for Atlanta. He's starring in Atlanta. He's going to be fucking Lando Calrissian, and he's going to write for fucking Deadpool too.
Now, this is going to be for FXX. It's going to be an adult animated comedy series following the R-rated trash-talking superhero. Him and Steven are both working on this. They've already had 10 episodes ordered for this as yet untitled series, but it will be coming in 2018. I am going to say it right now. Donald Glover may be the hardest fucking working man in the world right now.
Yeah. Isn't he also working on another album too?
Bro, he just released his last one, the Childish Gambino album that just came out.
He's probably
that was the Funk album, and he probably has 2 more in the can somewhere that he hadn't even released.
Kind of makes me wonder whether or not he's actually going to be writing for Deadpool, or if he's just going to be in an executive producing kind of role. Because I don't see how the fuck he's got any time for anything. I don't. Does he like never sleep?
Man, I'm starting to wonder. And here's the thing, man. They when they were talking about this, I was just like, whoa, bro, slow down. What are we talking about? This guy. Oh, also, you know what we forgot? Not only is he a Golden Globe winner, this fool's in Spider-Man Homecoming this summer.
Yeah, he's in Spider-Man Homecoming.
He's going to be in the new Lion King.
Jesus.
He's doing the 2nd season of Atlanta. And it's also going to debut in the same year as the new Deadpool movie and the Deadpool animated series, 2018. So maybe he gave up sleep and cut a deal with God. I don't know. Or the devil. Somehow, this guy's one of the most underrated, talented guys out there doing this damn thing. And he's going to try to bring us a Deadpool TV show. And Jeff Loeb, the Marvel TV chief, also involved. So, yeah, I was pretty excited about everything I read about this, man.
I was reading something about Marvel in general, and that Kevin Feige's his entire goal is to bring every single Marvel character back to Marvel. That's his overall stated goal with the MCU.
God bless you, man. God
Hopefully,
bless you, man.
It works. It's starting to work.
It's
got Spider-Man.
We
got Venom now, too.
Yeah. You want to... I know we didn't put that on our thing, but you mentioned it.
Why is Bane Venom?
Let's go ahead and talk about this. First of all, I'm not upset with Joe Nathan on the way here, hits me up. How do you feel about Tom Hardy as Venom? I said, I'm oddly not disappointed with it because I think Tom Hardy's a great actor. But once again, we have another guy who's played a DC character and another Marvel character.
Yep.
I mean, so let's face it. We got Ben Affleck. He's Batman, and he was Daredevil. We have Ryan Reynolds, who was Green Lantern and Deadpool. We have Chris Evans. No, he did 2 Marvel characters. He was Fantastic Four's Johnny Storm, and then
Winter
he
Soldier.
was Captain America.
Captain America. My brain.
So I was like, so you're getting these multiple characters, where they're doing. If we start talking about people that were connected to multiple geek cultures, Scarlett Johansson is she was Scarlet Witch, Ghost in the Shell. What else did she do? There was another geekdom film she's tied to.
I mean, there's Lost in Translation, but that's not really a thing.
Nah, that's a totally kind of different geekdom.
I think you were thinking about Lucy, that stupid movie about her using all of her brain, which everybody uses all of their brain, otherwise you wouldn't be alive.
Yeah,
I'm sorry that the movie's premise was so dumb I couldn't watch it.
My brother enjoyed it. He said it's one of those movies that if it's on HBO, you watch it. You don't pay to see it at a theater. Yeah. So, and you know how Terry is. You and him line up on movies. Yeah. All right, man. Let's go ahead and move it along. I got a couple things I want to knock in about while we're on movies and TV. Zendaya from Spider-Man Homecoming promises she's not Mary Jane. I kind of like that idea, man, because, for the longest time, that was who you thought she was going to be. You swore up and down she was coming in as Mary Jane. She's going to be
Mary Jane.
And I was like, she's not going to be Mary Jane.
Yes, she is.
I kept thinking that. I cannot think of the lady's name. And it's because there were 2 strong Spanish characters. And the Montoya I'm thinking about was in Batwoman in the, Gotham City Police Department, GCPD comic books. So it's not her, but there was another woman she was a Spanish woman. She ended up dating Peter Parker for a while. Her brother was a criminal that they kind of crossed paths that way, that Spider-Man was tracking down her brother who was this villain. So it was really a weird story, and I didn't keep track of the names, and it's from probably the early 2000s when that series took place, and I can't remember her name. I thought that's who she was going to be, but now that it's all kind of set in high school, I doubt it's going to be her. I don't know.
Maybe they just made up a new character.
Zendaya can be whatever she wants to be.
Quite honestly, they don't really do that a lot in Marvel. They don't make up a new character and just stick them into the.
They usually take a character that's established in a comic book somewhere.
Yeah, well, except for Coulson, really,
who became so big he became a character they put into the comic book.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and move this on. One of my things that you and I have talked about this. I love Judge Dredd. Mm-hmm. I love the Dredd movie that came out with Carl Urban.
Dredd 3D.
I thought that Dredd movie was so good.
The best
and it was so fucking underrated. And people didn't watch it. And then when I tell people, go watch Carl Urban's Dredd, and then they always come back after I tell them, I wasn't going to watch it. I heard it sucked. Did you see it? No. Shut the fuck up and go watch it. Yeah. Find it and watch it. Here's the DVD. Here's the Blu-ray. Go watch it. Everybody always comes back and says the same thing to me. Oh my God, that was so good.
I completely and utterly blame Sylvester Stallone for ruining Dredd in the 90s.
He did.
If that movie had never come out and Dredd would have come out, Dredd would have been massive. But it wasn't massive because everybody was like, oh, the fucking Sylvester Stallone movie.
Yeah, and it's not, man.
It's the same problem that fucking Fantastic Four has. Like I was telling you the other day, if they release another Fantastic Four movie tomorrow and it's got Marvel's name on it, I don't think anybody's gonna go watch it
because it's such a toxic property.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things you said. It said that even if Marvel got the Fantastic Four back, they would sit on it. They would not release a movie because it's such a toxic property. They'd have to let that toxicity die off.
Yeah.
Before they could do something with it. You may be right, but man, this one here, I was so hyped about this. A Judge Dredd TV show?
Yeah, and they want Carl Urban to come in and do it, but they don't know if they're going to be able to get him because he's got so many fucking film deals and shit he's got to take care of.
Man.
What did piss a lot of people off was Hellboy. There's a new Hellboy that's being made right now that's not going to have any of the original cast in it.
No, stop. We're not going into that yet. Okay. What I want to talk about is with this Dredd is that they're talking about it's going to be called, now I think it was called Mega City 1.
Yeah.
All right, and it's going to be celebrating the 40th anniversary this year of the comic, okay? Now, I'm all hyped about this, but if they could bring in, the thing is, let us think about this. Do you know who the guy that wrote and directed that Dredd film was?
I don't remember his name.
His name, I did not know this until I started doing research, was Alex Garland. And you hear the name Alex Garland and you don't think shit about that until you realize That's the same Alex Garland that wrote and directed that Ex Machina about the artificial intelligence that all the critics fell in love with.
Yeah.
Same guy did Dredd, which tells you why Dredd was cinematically was amazing. This guy can write and direct whatever the hell he decides he puts his mind to.
Yeah.
So,
I honestly, I think Carl Urban will do it because he's a ridiculously huge fan of Dredd. Like, he started reading Dredd when he was 16.
oh man, if they bring him in, another TV show they're looking at, Netflix, to produce the Witcher TV series.
Fuck yeah,
bro. Now this one got me. Oh man, gosh, why we got all this stuff in here? We got
seriously.
so many things set to
why
queue up.
Fucking every goddamn website now have to play fucking video for no reason.
Yeah, everything we got set up has music keyed into it. So the Witcher Saga was a series of 8 novels, right? And I always fuck this guy's name, Andrzej Sapkowski. I get his last name.
It's Polish, don't?
Yeah, Sapkowski I can get. His last name, totally get it. Andrzej Sapkowski wrote the Witcher Saga. All right. So Andre,
he's never gotten a penny in royalties from CD Projekt.
We've talked about this. Let's go ahead and tell the story. It's not that he didn't get money.
Well, he got money, but he
fucked
doesn't
himself.
He doesn't get royalties because he was like, just give me all the money now.
I don't think this is going to be a big thing, and I want all my money up front. You're going to pay me now. I don't want royalties.
Yeah.
I don't want to wait for payments. And so CD Projekt was like, are you sure? He said, yeah. They paid him off, get the rights to his books, make one of the hugest RPGs ever.
Yeah.
Was it not the game of the year in 2015?
I think, yeah, it was.
It was game of the year 2015.
And it also, I think it got like best DLC as well because their fucking Blood and Wine expansion was literally an entirely new Witcher game by itself. Like, they literally could have just released that as a standalone game if they wanted to, but they released it as DLC. And they released like 16 pieces of free DLC as well.
Yeah, no,
they're fucking killing it.
They killed that, bro. And I love them for it. But here's the thing. Here's what's so cool about this show. Netflix is getting it, which, 9 times out of 10, Netflix does not screw things up when they get it. But Thomas Baginski. Oh, yeah, we know. Iron Fist, they fucked that up. Okay. But Thomas Baginski, who directed the intro videos for all 3 Witcher video games, as well as the Cyberpunk 2077 teaser trailer, he's going to be the director.
Yeah. I think he's just going to direct the first.
I think the first episode, or at least one episode, but he's doing the Witcher movie.
And the writer, the original writer of the series is also going to be heavily involved. Everybody's like fucking masturbating over Mads Mikkelsen. They want him to be fucking Geralt. Yeah. I think it would be good, but I don't see him as Geralt.
You don't think they could get him, or you don't see it?
No, I think that they should go with somebody else. That's all. Not that he's a bad actor or any of that other shit. He's awesome. I just don't think that he's right for that role.
It'll be interesting. Now, this one here, I'm going to have to change my pants. After even just saying this again, it's going to make me change my pants. Okay? One of the favorite Stephen King movies or adaptations of his stories that was made into a movie was The Mist. I absolutely love The Mist.
I love it too. I actually made Jenny watch it.
Oh my God.
I didn't tell her.
You didn't tell her what she was getting into?
I didn't tell her about. I was, because you don't want to ruin that ending. It's just amazing. You don't want to ruin it.
So you didn't tell her what was going to happen. And she watched it.
Yeah, she's mad as hell.
Did she cry?
Yes.
Oh, I know. I took Kim to see it. Yeah, tears were shed, bro. I'm not saying she was the only one shedding tears, because first time you see that movie, you're just like, I am emotionally wrecked from this thing.
Really funny is that movie was actually supposed to originally be in black and white, but the studio wouldn't let him release it in black and white. And then they released it later. When they released it on Blu-ray, they have a black and white version of it.
I have to get that. I have to own it.
Because, I mean, if you look at it, like the cinematography and the way that the characters speak and like just the general tone of it is beat for beat, like almost exactly like a 1950s, 1960s serial horror show. Like the so kind of those B movies back then.
Oh God, yeah. And I'm a sucker for those.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for those. But man, you talk about one of my favorite films. And then when they start talking about now there's going to be a TV show, and there's a trailer out, and I watched the trailer, and the trailer looks all kinds of crazy. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. A lot of people don't realize that. In case you didn't know, let's go ahead and get you caught up. So this was a short story about some people who happened to be at a grocery store in town when this mist came rolling through. And it's like a portal from hell opened up, and some of the most horrifying creatures came pouring out of that portal. In these lockdown situations, what would happen if that mist hit us right now and you were at Walmart? They'd lock the doors and we're all stuck in Walmart.
Yep.
That's basically what happened.
So there's some interesting stuff. So did you know that Half-Life was inspired by the mist?
I did not.
So if you look at the Half-Life storyline, they open a portal, shit pours through and starts killing people.
Yeah.
Yeah. That they were inspired by that. And then there's another Stranger Things also. I was inspired a lot by the mist.
Oh, that makes sense.
Because in that government facility,
the upside down world, the crazy portal opens.
Shit starts coming out and killing people.
We go in the portal, shit's crazy inside the portal. Yeah. Definitely. I'm so excited. And it's not based on the one lockdown location that we saw in the story or in the movie. This is the idea that there were multiple lockdown locations, which makes sense.
Yeah.
There would, if this happened and you happen to be at Academy, then I'm sure something would have happened while you were locked in there, and I would have been locked in somewhere else. So I love the idea of multiple lockdown locations and telling these stories.
Always wanted like a zombie apocalypse to break out when I was working at Blizzard because they just had swords all over the fucking walls in that place.
Bro.
We're just like, if a zombie apocalypse breaks out, we're fine. Everybody has a sword or shield or a sword and a shield. There's like frost mortars right over there on the fucking wall. And they've got like 6 of them in the fucking building because people buy them and take them to work for some reason.
Bro, I've always wondered about this, man. Right now, if the zombie apocalypse broke out, EA's fucked.
We're on the 2nd floor, though.
You act like zombies can't use stairs.
They're pretty dumb.
I don't think they know stairs.
I mean, we've got doors, and it's double airlock to get in.
There it is now. That's true.
Yeah.
So
except for I think there's only one or two places where it's not double door. The emergency exit and the exit by the stairs.
We're not going to talk too much because we don't need a killer to find us. But yeah, okay, I'll look into that. But yeah, I still think it is double doors. So security protocols are good. I think our dumbass problem would be we have coworkers that would be like, I got to get home to my girlfriend to save her.
Well, you can jump out this fucking window because you
ain't going out this door, bitch. You better figure a way down on that window. Use your chair or something.
You can take the elevator. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Speaking of, the elevator tried to eat me at work the other day.
What?
So, Thursday, I went to the elevator and I pushed the button and I got in the elevator and I put the thing on the thing and I hit the button. The doors shut and the doors didn't shut all the way. And then the elevator just sat there for a while. So finally I was just like, fuck it. And I just pulled the elevator open and got out, got in the other elevator and went upstairs. This first set of elevators, they're dangerous, man. Don't get in them.
All right, dude. Yeah, you got to be frightened to go get on them now. All right, cool. So now we know that we don't want the zombie apocalypse to happen while we're at work because the elevator is going to cause death. Okay, cool. Let's keep it moving. All right, now, do you want to announce the sad news now, or do you want to wait till the end of the show?
Which one? There's been so much of it.
I know, it's so much. You want to wait till the end of the show and let's do something else?
Sure.
Let's do the alchemy story. No, let's do that story.
This one?
Yes. You told me about this. Have they figured out who did this?
Mm-mm.
So basically, here's the story. Somebody decided that hellhydra.com all of a sudden now redirects to whitehouse.gov.
It's hail-hydra.com.
.com.
Redirects to whitehouse.gov now.
Which is so funny.
It's the best.
Which is like, who thinks of this? And you know what's so funny?
The internet.
Yeah, what's so funny about this is the same day they do this, Captain America's Secret Empire story came out, which tells the story of Captain America, who has been a Hydra agent all this time, about to take over the government and build his secret empire. And I was like, I don't think Marvel was in on this.
No, I don't think
but it is the greatest story ever.
You know, I could probably, it's probably protected. So with domain names and stuff like that, you have the option to either put your actual information or you can pay the company that you're renting the domain from to hide your info behind their info so that it's not public. So we could try to figure it out with a little Who Is action. Who is look up, paste, delete. Who is hail-hydra.com?
Oh, they're hiding this one.
Domain admin /C/O. Yeah, privacy protection. So yeah, they've got the privacy protection up, so you can't figure out who it is.
Man, we want to know who this is.
It is an Australian domain. The mailing address is P.O. Box, Nobby Beach, Queensland, QLD 4218 AU. But yeah.
So amazing.
So it's Australians who are doing it. It's not even an American. Or it's an American who's contracting through an Australian domain distributor.
He's the greatest.
Whoever it is.
All heroes don't wear capes, but this guy's a badass right now. It was just hilarious that when it showed up, and it was like everybody caught on to it like that day. And it was like, wait a minute, what do you mean hailhydra.com takes you to whitehouse.gov? And it became like, it flooded. Like, I didn't see it on Facebook or Twitter, but like Reddit.
Yeah.
It was like
everywhere.
Everybody was putting it in their inbox and saying, hey, bro, check this website out. And I was like, what the? You sent it to me. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Why did I just go to, oh, this is amazing. Hail Hydra just took me to whitehouse.gov, which would explain a lot. Which would explain so much. All right, we did way heavy on the PC stuff, so I'm not going to get into anything. I think we covered all of our PC things right here. I do want to get into this thing about the I want you to kind of tell me this. You sent me this story, but I'm not really sure what's going on. Alchemy Labs and Google join forces for the future of VR.
So Alchemy Labs are the guys who brought you Job Simulator and Rick and Morty VR. Mm-hmm. So they have joined with Google, and they are now they are owned by Google, and they're going to start working on stuff for Project Daydream, which is Google's initiative to do Android VR based content for phones and mobile devices. And then on the same note, HTC actually just announced that they are making a headset that is completely standalone. So you don't need a phone, you don't need a computer. It has inside-out tracking, which means that the tracking comes from the headset and tracks where you are in 3D without the use of any extra cameras or anything. They're basically like putting an entire phone SoC dedicated to VR in a headset that you're going to be able to pick up and buy. So that's going to be really cool. What I really wish that they would do on top of that is allow that standalone headset to also interface with a PC so that you could play PC content with it, so that it would be like a dual role. That would be really awesome. But yeah, Alchemy Labs, hopefully they're going to put out some pretty decent mobile VR stuff for Google now that they're a part of Google.
Is there anything Google doesn't own? Google's buying up a lot of shit on secret. Like, you don't realize stuff is owned by Google until a story like this comes out.
Well, that's the thing is, like, Google doesn't really own anything. Alphabet owns it, and Alphabet owns Google.
Yeah.
Alphabet is the parent company now.
That's true. We did a story about that.
Yeah, Alphabet is now, like, the people who are above the companies holding them all together. And they're calling them Alphabet because, you know, G for Google, N for Nest, like the first letter of the company.
Right. But they own everything.
They own a lot of shit.
Yeah, they own a lot of shit. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead, man. Let's get into these stories. I hate discussing these. This year, we have had almost every other episode, we have a death announcement. All right. And it's just like, my God, man. I mean, I understand death is part of it. The thing that's getting me is that it's like we're starting to see a lot of the guys that are connected to our culture, geek culture, we get hit pretty heavy. And this one here was Michael Parks. Now, if a lot of people probably don't even know who Michael Parks is if we say the name, but if we start telling you who he was in roles.
He was the cop that shows up at the gas station in From Dusk Till Dawn at the very beginning.
Right.
He was the preacher
in Red State.
In Red State. He was the guy who turned the other guy into a walrus in Tusk.
In Tusk, he was the crazy.
And like his rap sheet on like stuff on IMDb that he's done is fucking 3 miles long. He's been working since I think the 60s or something.
Here's the thing. You see him in something and you would go, oh, I
that
remember
guy.
that guy.
Yeah.
But you didn't know his name. And that was what I always thought was so weird was that, like, I watched Red State. I couldn't finish Tusk. I'm not going to lie. It was weird. Okay. But still, you just kind of knew his work. You know what I'm saying? And then and he'd really worked with Kevin Smith quite a bit. That's how, and so we saw the whole thing where Kevin Smith came out and had gave, like a really beautiful eulogy pretty much on social media. I think it was on his Instagram page where he did that.
Yeah. There's also a video of him doing one of his podcasts. He's got Hollywood Babylon, and it's up on youtube.com/Kevin Smith. Mm-hmm. But there's like a 25 to 28 minute, like he's telling stories about Michael Parks.
Right.
And it'll make you cry. Go watch it. It's amazing.
Yeah. And then we're barely over that. Mm-hmm. And then a man who was probably more well known, but now it's part of geek culture, Powers Booth, passes away. And as recently, he was on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you talk about a guy who had a long rap sheet of a career.
Yeah.
Powers Booth did some things, man. And here's my problem. I'm 46 years old, so I felt like I've grown up with this man. I've seen him in everything, man. He was in the 1984 version of Red Dawn, okay? He was in that one. I'm talking about the one with, what was that, Patrick Swayze and all them guys, man. He did some things, man.
Tombstone, Sin City, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Deadwood. I mean, those are just some of the more recent things that he's done. Like, it sucks because I think they were just about to get together to do a Deadwood series. So I don't even know. I can't remember for the life of me if his character's even still alive in Deadwood, but not having him there is going to be a pretty big gap in the cast.
I'll tell you this much, man. You may not remember this. Back in the day when I was a kid, big story was Jim Jones, okay? Mm-hmm. And his whole thing in Guyana where he got all the people to drink the Kool-Aid and commit mass suicide.
Yeah.
Powers Booth played Jim Jones in that TV movie. He was a powerhouse. Like, he chewed up that scenery. And I remember watching that as a kid and just thinking, oh, my God, Powers Booth is Jim Jones. Like, I could not decipher it as a little kid that, no, he's just an actor. But, man, it was crazy. It's sad, man. I hate to see that. Here's something I found out about it, though. When I started kind of reading up on him, I was just like, man, I grew up with him, but I didn't know anything about him, man. I did not know that he went to Texas State University. I did not know that he was from Western Texas, that he received a fellowship to enroll in the Southern Methodist University graduate program in Dallas. And then here's where he really got me. This guy here was also inducted in 2009 to the Texas Film Hall of Fame. 2009, the year he was inducted, Billy Bob Thornton was too. I had no idea about this guy. I mean, this is Texas guys, man. This is a Texas-born, bred actor, man, who had a very long-spanning career in Hollywood, man.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of sad to see that, man. I was really, I was like, dang, dog, can we just keep a couple more people alive just to the end of the year? Just a couple more.
This year hasn't been as bad as last year was, though.
No,
Jesus,
man.
fuck last year.
Last year was a beast. Last year was like, man, you are a threat. You're thinning out the crowd of my people. There was a story I put in here. I'm just going to kind of touch on it. Crunchyroll, who I want to set up a sponsorship with us for our website. I'm just saying, I want to be able to sell.
That would be nice.
It's something that I've looked at and begged to do. But there's something that I saw on their website this week, and I was kind of goofing around. And if I say the name Miyazaki,
Spirited Away.
Yeah, anime fans know who I'm talking about when I say Miyazaki. Yeah. We're talking about Howl's Moving Castle, Spirited Away, some of the greatest anime films ever, Miyazaki. Okay? So, supposedly, he's really going to do his final film, which I think this will be his third final film. He can't stay retired. That's his thing. And I kind of want him to work until he doesn't want to work anymore. But he says this is the one. All right, that he's got one more feature-length film in him, and he's looking for young animators and background artists to help him complete what he swears will be his last film. No, seriously, he really means it this time.
I doubt it.
I don't know if he can, but here's what I've looked at, man. So
I think he's one of those types of people who wants to retire but can't stop working.
What's he gonna do?
No, he might. He says it's his last feature film. That doesn't preclude that him doing comics or him doing any other type of media.
Bro, I'm gonna tell you what got me about this whole thing. And I don't know if you noticed, but I went to look into it, right? So what they're looking for is animators and background artists to work as contract employees at their Tokyo location. Now, the contract lasts for a period of 3 years, beginning October 1st, 2017. So start getting your resumes ready. The job offer wages starting at 200,000 yen a month. And I thought, 200,000 yen? That's a lot of money.
It's like $5.
Bruh, it's $1,794.16 US. So a little under $1,800 a month.
Yeah.
$1,800 a month.
But you get to say that you worked on a Miyazaki film.
Yeah, you get to say you worked for Studio Ghibli.
Yeah.
For 3 years.
Yeah.
And here's where else this job comes with. Now, I said $1,800 a month wasn't that big, but this does, as well as 2 annual bonuses, local transportation expenses, an insurance package, and paid vacation time. And you will work from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Japanese Standard Time, with a 1-hour break for meals plus overtime where applicable. And if you have not watched the movie or the documentary about Miyazaki, prepare for there to be overtime. There will be overtime. Yeah. You're going to put in overtime. All right, you have to be at least 18 years of age, and the application process is open till July 20th, 2017. I'm going to put a link for this on our Team Lift page.
I wonder if they accept stick figure pictures.
Bruh.
Because I'll put in a resume.
If they would just let me be a voiceover for one character, I'd play Mr. Popo. I'd play the most racist character in anime. It's just so I can say I was in a studio gym. It'd be, bruh, that is just a black tar figure with some eyes and hot dogs cut in half to make lips. The most racist black man in anime history. I'd voice that son of a bitch just so I could say, I was in a Miyazaki film. They'd be like, really? Yeah. Who were you? Mr. Popo's cousin.
Hey, 1 second. Let me put this on.
You were Mr. Popo's cousin? Yeah, Mr. Broke. It'd be the most racist character in anime. You are now the second most racist anime character in anime. Legend. Where my IMDb credit? That's all I need.
Just that one credit.
That one credit, because you would never work in a black film. Oprah gonna boycott me for playing this racist character. I'll be like, I don't give a damn, Oprah. You ain't tickling my nuts and sucking me to sleep. I was in a Miyazaki film. I don't care about you. I don't care what you think of me. But yeah, no, I'm seriously going to put the links up for everybody that's interested. They are really accepting, they're accepting the resumes right now. And I think it would be amazing for you to do it. So yeah, we'll put that on our main page. We're going to get that link and send it out to everybody.
I'm actually going to do it right now.
You're going to put it on the Go Team Lift page?
Yep.
Putting it on there? Hell yeah. You cannot
publish.
Did you? Boom. There it goes. On the Go Team Lift page right now as we're speaking.
There.
Cool. We got it. We'll put that. I love that story, dude. I just want to meet him.
So there was one other thing that happened too.
You want to talk about it?
Yeah.
What up?
Chris Cornell.
Bro. Okay, first of all, I was a grown man when grunge started, you know. I wasn't in my teenage years when grunge came along. I was actually in Desert Storm. You know, I was overseas doing some things. So when I came back and Nirvana came along, I was pretty like, oh, this is amazing. This is the soundtrack to how I feel about this stupid ass deployment I just came back from.
Yep.
It was angry. And then I like Pearl Jam. So, you know, I came back. Like, here was my gift coming back to the States. Pearl Jam and Nirvana's, what was it? Was it Nevermind, the one with the baby on the cover?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I came back to those. And then Soundgarden, Bad Motor Finger. And then when I heard Rusty Cage, the first time I heard that song, I lost my damn mind. That's one of my favorite songs of all time. And then when I even heard, like, Johnny Cash remake it, I loved it even more. I realized how great a song it was. And then Audio Slave, when it came out, I thought, man, these are such good albums. These are such good albums. And man, here's the thing. Have you ever heard him sing, like, when he wasn't doing rock?
Mm-mm.
He did on one of those A Very Merry Christmas albums, you know, where they do for AIDS support. They come out every year, and they were like these big records, man, and every time they sell them, the money goes toward AIDS research in Africa, right? Mm-hmm. He does Ave Maria on one of those. Ave Maria. He does that song, and it fucking sends chills down your spine. That guy was so fucking talented, and he was so fucking underrated. Like, I didn't even know this many damn Soundgarden Audio Slave fans even existed until he died.
They start popping out of the fucking woodwork.
Oh, bro, man, they were everywhere. And I was like, what the hell were you when I was playing that song last week? I played that song in the car in the parking lot, debating whether I was going to quit before I came into work. Nobody once came up to my car. I love that damn song. Thank you. Just because you acknowledge that song and you saw me in this parking lot, now I have to go into work. Thank you. Yeah. But it was sad. But he's gone, man. And it's, you know what? I know we all get older. I understand that death is part of this, but I still hate it every time. Somebody that I think, you know why I hate it? It reminds me I'm getting older, and it reminds me I'm closer to my own death. Kind of reminds me of my own mortality.
And that's the thing, though, is like, as far as we can tell, at least from the story and shit that I read, it's possibly a suicide or possibly a complication of medication, one of the two.
Well, from what I'm reading, it looks like he was on some heavy medication that may have caused him to commit suicide.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, which sucks even more. And what did I kept telling you? When we heard the story, you looked at me and you said, Chris Cornell died. And I said, I just don't want it to be heroin. I don't want it to be a heroin overdose. I cannot take it if it's a heroin overdose. And you kept going, what? I said, I don't need to lose any more heroes to heroin overdoses. Mm-hmm. And you kind of coming out of that grunge period in the Seattle, heroin was it took a lot of guys from that scene, man.
Well, I mean, it didn't take Kurt Cobain.
He was another suicide.
I mean, that's a whole nother. There's a whole conspiracy theory that.
That in itself is a whole nother show for us.
Yeah, that's a whole episode. But yeah, go look up the if you're bored and you want to read something interesting. There's a guy who was a private detective who was hired by Kurt Cobain's wife, Courtney Love, and it's all of his notes and things from that investigation basically lead or point to him having not actually committed suicide and having actually been killed by Courtney Love and or somebody who was working for her, essentially. Mm-hmm.
Is there a Reddit post?
It's not a Reddit post. There's actually a website that he has. He has
it.
all of his evidence and stuff is up there.
I'll go find it. You may want to put that link on the page too. I'm actually going to find it, man. I'm going to go look at it. I've got good news for everybody that's been following the show for a while. My comedy career is kind of doing its thing. I'm actually going to be putting up some links to our Facebook page and our Twitter page from my comedy page, and to links to all of our past shows on YouTube and how to get us on Google and on iTunes. So I guess we could finally say Team Lift is going to go big time. We're going to go big time. I need to tie all of this together. It's all career related. It's all one big career. So
the website for the Cobain is just CobainCase.com.
And you put it on our Team Lift page?
I put it on the internal one. I'll put it on the external one.
Okay, no, that's cool. I'm about to say, we'll get it out there, man. We'll definitely get it out there for the people that want to read it. So it's on our Go Team Lift page. Do we have that at like www.facebook.com/Go Team Lift?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, for anybody,
Facebook.com/Go Team Lift.
Yeah, follow us there. A lot of cool stories we put there. A lot of times, stuff that we talk about on the show, we give links to it.
There's the occasional comedy page post that makes it onto the Team Lift page.
Yeah, because sometimes I'm
you're
so
logged
busy.
into the wrong account.
I'm so busy sometimes. Like every now and then, and really, really inappropriate, not safe for work meme will find its way onto the Go Team Lift page. And I laugh hysterically every time it happens. I was just like, I don't think the people that follow us at Go Team, I did put one on one there one time and our followers went up. So, I don't know how that happened. I don't know what I'm going through during the week. Man, a lot of stuff's going on in my head. But that was an awesome one. Man, always a blast doing the show with you. Anything big coming up this next week?
Not so far, no.
Cool. So we'll probably be back in here, same bad time, same bad channel, and do another show next week.
Sure.
I do think we need to do the PC Bills show pretty quickly, and let's start.
I mean, I can like it depends on. Do you want to do like price ranges? You want to do like a $600 build and then $1,000 build or an $800 build?
I think what we should do is we'll put it out to some people. I'm gonna reach out to some people who are thinking about getting a PC built. They're gonna tell us what they want, and then we're gonna tell them we'll do 2 builds for them. One if money was no object, and one if they wanted to do it on a budget. And we'll spec it out for them.
Right.
Okay, I think we got it. And we got enough followers because I've been seeing people write us lately and asking, hey, you guys talk about PC builds. Could you build one for me? And I'm like, I couldn't.
I can.
But Brandon would. Brandon's building mine. But
send an email.
Yeah, so I think that's what we'll do. We'll just actually start getting some of those emails and we'll put them together and I'm going to reach out to them and let's get some
it's
stuff.
Not the first, it wouldn't be the first system I built for somebody else in the past, 10 years.
But it'd be the first build where they could say, the Team Lift podcast built it for.
Yep.
We need to actually get our own cabinets. We need designer cabinets. Man, it's a blast. Everybody, have a wonderful week. Tell the people that you care about that you love them, and take care of yourself. Peace. Thanks for listening to the Team Lift Podcast with your hosts, Brendan Bowie and Roderick McDaniel. Join us again next week as we discuss more topics from geek culture. Be sure to follow us on our Twitter page @GoTeamLift, as well as our personal pages @CoachSilky and @ThighSide. You can direct questions and comments to us on our Twitter page, as well as find links to all of our social media outlets. Thank you for listening. See you again next week.